too. So grateful for the tools that I have, which includes gratitude for everything, because when little technical things come up, it doesn't take me off my center and my axis. So this is the second time we're going live in about 2 minutes just because of the way that it worked out and the buttons that I pressed. So we are just sharing this into all of the places that it needs to be. And I am just going to pull it up so that I can see everything. If you are here in Canada, happy Thanksgiving. We're going to talk about why it's a complicated day. We're going to talk about the frequency of gratitude and the field of gratitude as well. And I'm so grateful to be here with my dear friend, Nicole Rose, my evolutionary partner, co-creator, and we're just sending some love to Nina Infinity, our other soul sister and co-creator, who is got a little bit of a sore throat right now. So she is going to save her voice, and we will just send tons of love your way, Nina. So this here, awesome. I think we're all ready to go and all shared into all of the spaces. Yeah, so Canadian Thanksgiving today. We are Canadians ourselves. I know American Thanksgiving is towards the end of November, just closer to Christmas. I just need to share that I used to think it was the stupidest holiday because I was like, how do you need one day to be grateful? Like, shouldn't we be grateful every day? Because I used to really dislike when people were telling me to do a certain thing. I didn't like having to give presents on Christmas and birthdays. I'm like, what about presents just because? Right? Like just all of those things would come up. And then as I got older, I started to learn that gratitude is actually the most magical manifestation frequency, and that a day to celebrate it is amazing. And then I learned that the roots of Canadian and American Thanksgivings are actually just full of blood. So it is a complicated holiday, but we will be acknowledging more of that in just a moment. But I just need to say that the reason that I am free and happy today to celebrate, especially with Nicole, the frequency of gratitude, is that I think it's our job to take all of the crappy stuff that has happened and see how we can transmute it, to alchemize it, to turn it into gold so that we can do the healing, the shifting, the transformation. And also you don't have to throw the baby out with the bathwater. In fact, why don't we acknowledge and honor the parts that suck and then bring in what it is we want to see instead. So welcome, Nicole. And I would love for you to speak into the acknowledgements of what Canadian Thanksgiving actually is about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Canadian Thanksgiving is something that happened when it's very colonized, and when so I read the articles, but I didn't embody enough of it to remember all the things. But when the settlers came over from Europe and interacted with the indigenous people that lived here for many, many years before the white settlers did, they were shown the practices of Thanksgiving and being thankful for the harvest, but it was not something that it's not the way it's not the way that the history books displayed what actually happened. It wasn't just them sitting down together. It was the indigenous people were being sold a little bit of propaganda along with those meals that they were sharing. So that is kind of a very brief summary of the dark underbelly of what Thanksgiving is all about. And it is so important for us as white people living here to acknowledge the land. We're in Edmonton on Turtle Island, which is what North America is referred to by some indigenous folks. And yeah, it's very important for us to acknowledge the land that we are on, because it is not our land, and it's very important for both of us to acknowledge that. I know personally we both do that. And I would like to, yesterday I wrote a post to acknowledge where we are and to acknowledge the roots of this holiday. So I'll just read that. This Thanksgiving weekend, I want to acknowledge that I am grateful to reside on Treaty 6 territory and within the Métis Homelands, and Métis Nation of Alberta Region 4. This land is the traditional territory of many First Nations such as Cree, Dene, Stoney, Salsu, and Blackfoot. I am grateful for the tradition of Thanksgiving and acknowledge its Indigenous roots. And I didn't want to say I said those words in English because I don't want to butcher them. But that is something that I can commit to doing, is learning how to speak those languages and at least say the names of the people. So it's so important to, in any process, we can't ignore the trauma, we can't ignore the history, we can't ignore what's like, and it's not even a past trauma, because this stuff is still happening to Indigenous people. So there is stuff that's happened in the past, and it's also still happening, and we cannot heal from trauma if it's still happening. So the truth and reconciliation is so important. And I'm grateful as a white person to see that so many more people are becoming aware of these issues that Indigenous people have been aware of for their entire lives and have been falling on deaf ears. And I'm grateful that more people are also becoming aware of this and acknowledging it so that we can help them heal by not gaslighting them anymore, and heal from the trauma that is still occurring, and make the changes so that we can be the change and actually create something different, because what's been happening for years and years is not working. We need to do something different, and that starts with coming into that place of acknowledgement, that truth, and that reconciliation that I really hope happens in our lifetime.
Just taking a breath into that. So important. Thank you, Nicole, for reading out that acknowledgement, because if we were to just pop into the magical manifesting frequency of gratitude without acknowledging the roots of this day and all of that, that would be kind of nasty, spiritual bypassing, all kinds of things. And it would just be not the kind of space that we want to curate and cultivate, because the light is coming into this planet at a level it's never come before, right? The light being information from the cosmos. I think love is entangled with it, but also it's emanating from the hearts of the people that are sharing their truth and their love at the same time on this planet. So it's coming from inside everybody as well as from the cosmos. And that means it is lighting up all of the crap, all of the stuff that has been swept underneath the consciousness, right, of the collective for so long. And it was possible for many of us, and I can only speak from my personal experience, but I'm sure, Nicole, you had something similar where you had no idea so much of this stuff was going on. And we're talking about what's happened to First Nation and Indigenous people, people all over the world, all of the other things that have been coming to light over this past couple of years as well. The Me Too movement, the Black Lives Matter movement, all kinds of things are coming to the surface, right? That weren't spoken of out loud, that were hidden in the shadows, where they were able to thrive and or maybe not thrive, but at least like it was able to go on. There was still so much happening that we were unaware of. And that's the magic of this time, is that things can't be hidden anymore. Information is so available. And while that can be a problem if people don't know how to disseminate the information and find the truth is present. So I'm so grateful to be living in a time where things are coming to light. And people will talk about light being like a spiritually bypassing kind of thing, right? Ooh, light and love, like, ooh, right? Like, no, we have to go in. And I'm like, no, if you think it's spiritual bypassing, I'm just going to say it. I'm going to be spicy and say you're doing it wrong if it is spiritual bypassing, because light and love are the two most powerful frequencies on this planet, and the light can illuminate all of that stuff that is not working, right? And light is also kind of an asshole, and it hurts, and it can be blinding, right? And people don't like it, and it's uncomfortable, but it's so necessary, right? So I am super grateful for all of this stuff coming to light, making it look so chaotic, because it's almost like a sifter. right? It's like, you know, those sand sifting toys where we're able to shake out all of the stuff that isn't true, and that's falling away. And it's a really painful process because people are being jostled as we're in the sifter. But when everything is said and done, what will be left will be the truth of it, right? So that was a big rampage. I was not expecting to go on.
Well, it's so important to speak into all of this stuff. And, you know, light work is shadow work. You can't have one without the other. And like you said, if you're doing, if you're not going into the shadows, you're doing the light work wrong. I don't like to judge people for doing things wrong, but so perhaps think of it as an invitation to shift. I know when I first had my like awakening, I was so scared to feel the hard stuff because I thought that was going to lower my vibration. And then I realized, oh, I have to alchemize that and feel it and release it, because actually that is probably a lot of trauma that's stored in my body, and that is what is lowering my vibration. And it's not my fault the trauma happened, but it's my responsibility to alchemize it and learn how to do something about it. And the more that we can do that, we actually become more light. We're releasing all this density in our body so that we can become more light and have a higher frequency. So yeah, that's just felt called to speak into that as well. I always feel such a strong, like, it's interesting, I guess, because when I say that I'm a light worker, sometimes I'm like, oh, I hope people don't think that like I'm just all the love and light and like not going in. So I feel very strongly to say like I work with the light, and I also dive into the shadows as well.
Yeah. Exactly. So it's really interesting too, because the term light, you know, has operational definitions. That's what we are putting into it. And sometimes I mean literal illumination coming from either our hearts or spirits or cells or the cosmos. And sometimes we're talking about light as in density, right? Or a faster or higher frequency. And there's nothing wrong with density. There's nothing wrong with all of that. There's also nothing bad about darkness or shadow, right? It's like two sides of the same coin. But when it comes to the feeling in our body, we are at this time where we have chosen to shift to the next octave, the next frequency level that is a lighter vibrational frequency, instead of staying in that density that is one of consciousness that involves separation, right? Separation, fear, all of that, scarcity. Those are the three big ones that feel the most dense in our bodies. And you know what? We've had a really interesting time playing with those frequencies. But right now, as I'm saying, the shift is happening in this sand shifter that's allowing all of that stuff that can't come with us up to that next octave to fall away, right? We're kind of like panning for gold and letting all of the sand, the clay, whatever, fall down and stay in that lower frequency. There's probably a better metaphor for it than the sand shifter, because actually when we're doing that with real sand, the heavy stuff stays in and the lighter stuff falls, but you know what I'm talking about. So it's really, really beautiful to be able to speak into the process of alchemy. And gratitude is actually one of the most alchemical frequencies to do that transmutation, to shift something from something that feels really heavy and yucky and dense, traumatic, and then move it into that next octave with love and gratitude. We can actually shift it into something that's going to serve us more. And I want to speak into gratitude today as a manifesting miracle. Basically, it is a vibrational frequency, but it also exists as a field, like almost a band, a frequency bandwidth. And when you are able to tap into that, to raise your vibrational frequency, to be in it, and then to bring it through and into your body, you become basically at the same frequency as a lot of magic. So we'll speak into how you can get there and what it has done. But I'm feeling called to tell this story about gratitude being sort of like my gateway frequency adjustment that wasn't dance. So when I was in my, I want to say early 20s, I started seeing angel numbers. This is about almost 20 years ago. I'm 39. I'll be 39 in 2 months, actually. I'm still 38, but that's I always do it. I used to see angel numbers before angel numbers were a thing. I didn't know what 1111, and I would see 1, 2, 3s and combinations of them all the time. I didn't know what it meant. And I didn't know it was called an angel number, so I didn't research it. What I did was I used it as an opportunity to pause and be grateful, because that was just something that I knew intuitively would serve me, because it felt like a message. And since I couldn't decode the message, I said, okay, fine. I see 111, I see 1111, I see whatever numbers that are feeling like a message for me. I'm going to pause and think about something that I'm super grateful for. And let me know if you've ever seen those numbers, 111 or the like 1, 2, 3 sequences in the comments if you're watching, because this is a pretty universal experience for people when they're on an ascension journey or an evolution of the consciousness journey. And after a little while, I started to really notice a shift in my energy. And I was getting these number sequences like 10, 20, 30 times a day. So I was grateful all of the time. And I stopped being able to list off, like, I'm grateful for water. I'm grateful for, my friends. I'm grateful for my job. And I had to dig deeper because I was getting bored. And so I started to think about all of the things that I was grateful for that I wouldn't have ordinarily noticed. And it was shifting a lot internally. But here's the funny part. I pissed off my spirit guides through this process. And what happened was I was living alone at the time. And all of a sudden I woke up, went to brush my teeth in the morning, wasn't a middle of the wake up, and I couldn't find my toothbrush. It was nowhere that I had put it, because I remembered brushing my teeth, putting it down on the counter, and then going to bed. I lived alone. No one had touched my toothbrush. I looked all over for it and eventually found it in my shower. I had not been the one to put it there. And as soon as I did that, I just had this download and the voice that told me, hey, I was like, hi, hey, we're your guides. And we're a little sick of you being grateful for everything under the sun and never mentioning us. So like, oh, okay. Sorry about that, guys. And that actually started a conversation where I was able to then really be communicating with these multi-dimensional beings who are on my team. And I believe they were doing it just to be funny, obviously, and catch my attention. But I was able to create that connection with them, and they could create it with me because I had raised my vibrational frequency up enough through this practice of gratitude to even be able to access them. So that was my first like real deep experience with gratitude, as being a magical frequency. I don't want to say manipulator, but like tool.
I love that story. I love how your spirit guides, any spirits or any of your beings that you work with, they're always so silly with you. So it's fun to show. Of course they would be, because that's like who you are, and it's just so fun to see that that it doesn't have to be so serious all the time. And of course, that's why we have the playground. Yeah, that's so awesome. I think my first experience with gratitude was when I was in the Creators Code program stuff, like almost a decade, maybe 2013, so like 8 years ago. And I was in a workshop and we wrote down, like, she asked us to write down like some things we were grateful for. And that was really the first time I'd ever done it. And I was like, oh, wow, I really noticed a big shift afterwards. And I also noticed how I totally judged myself, because we got people to like see what other people had written down. I'm like, am I doing it wrong? I wrote like general things and other people wrote really specific things. And I was like, oh, I must be doing this wrong. And now I just want to say, if that's ever occurred to you that you might be doing gratitude wrong, as long as you're being grateful, you're not. You can be grateful for anything. If that's in anybody's field, like, yeah. It's so funny now, because when I'm like human and looking back at myself and learning things and wondering, am I being grateful right? So silly. and I can love myself for that, because that, you know, stuck with me, and I can use it as a teachable moment and share with other people that as we're learning, sometimes we don't know if we're doing something right. And it was always helpful for me to keep hearing the message at that time to like, just keep doing it. Setting your intention is so important. And like, as long as your intention is set in the right way, then like, you're going to be fine. It's okay. um, yeah, but so I started doing, I think, a 7-day gratitude challenge, and then I was like, oh wow, I feel amazing. I'm going to keep doing this. And at the time, I was doing it in a public Facebook challenge as well. And then I'm like, I'm going to keep going. And I went for 30 days. And then I'm like, well, I can't stop now because it's Thanksgiving weekend when it ended up ending. So I'm like, who stops being grateful on Thanksgiving? So it's fun to just see all these memories popping up now too. And then I ended up going for like a whole year. And you know what was the coolest thing was? The day that I ended it was the day that the retreat started that we ran in 2015. So that was like, that year was such a huge shift for me, because I had gone basically through dark nights of the souls from like 2012 through 2012, 2013, and 2014. There was like some serious dark night of the soul periods in there. And then when I started practicing gratitude, that was like the precursor to my awesome year of 2015, when I lived in flow and everything was amazing. And it was, I attribute it like, you know, to all my work and all sorts of things, but definitely to practicing gratitude daily. And if I didn't do it daily, I would like, you know, go back through the previous few days and catch up. And now I practice gratitude, like I do it daily, and I still write in my journal and practice that, but I'm also in the practice of just being grateful in the moment as well. I don't need to wait till the end of the day to think about what I'm grateful for. Because I've been doing this for so long, my brain, my reticular activating system is like primed to look for, what am I grateful for in this moment? Even if I'm feeling upset or like, you know, I let myself have my feelings, and I'm like, okay, I don't want to be stuck here anymore. Through my list of like what tools I have, and gratitude is one of the quickest ones that you can do in any moment to shift without, like, you know, I love to dance and do things, but I can't always do that. So I can connect in with, what am I grateful for right now? If I list 3 things and not just like say them, but really drop into it, allow myself to really feel that gratitude in my body, wash it, like allow it to wash over me, to really connect. Like if I'm thinking of being grateful for my daughter, I really connect to the moment that I'm grateful for with her. Like she's, this whole weekend, she's been loving having an extra long weekend and being at home, and she'll like gaze up at me, look in my eyes and be like, I love you. And it's just like the sweetest thing ever. So I bring myself into that moment to actually feel it and then be grateful for it. And yeah, it's just such, it is such an amazing frequency shifter. We did a little gratitude before we came on here today, and afterwards we both looked like we got a huge facelift.
Yeah, that is the fun. Once you are beyond the point of feeling awkward about it and you start to really play with the embodiment, the fullness of it, which I'm glad that you mentioned it, because it's one thing to like write it out, be like, I'm grateful for my family. And another one to actually take that frequency and pull it down into your body or lift yourself vibrationally up to that field. It's kind of you can do either or. That is when you are being it as opposed to just thinking it, right? Embodiment is such a big shift. So if you are just writing down your gratitude list without fully bringing it and like feeling the sensation in every part of you, there's another level available to you. It's not that you've been doing it wrong. It's that there's another level that's going to take it further to a deeper understanding of it that can literally shift your energy so quickly once you get used to it. So yeah, we did a gratitude rampage before we got on, and I just started saying things that I'm so grateful for. And a lot of it, I think it was all about how it was about Nicole, our friendship, getting to work together, all of those things, getting to parent together. And then she did the same to me. And we just were just smiling because we could feel literally that lightness, that expansiveness come from the chest, and it raised us up. And we could have kept going, but we were actually already a couple minutes late coming on because we were so deep in this gratitude rampage. So if you need to shift some energy and things are feeling stuck, that is one way you can do it. And I just need to say, you get better with practice. Okay. We are so primed to look for the negative and complain about stuff because that is what society tells us to do, right? We bitch together about stuff. And when you mean, right, like, you know how that goes in everyone. If one person's having a bad day, whoa, yeah, well, this happened to me. And it just, it sucks the energy downward. And if somebody tries to bring a positive out in a situation like that, where people are not expecting it or they're not used to that, they'd be like, what, like, why are you so happy? Right? Like, that's not what we do here. So it has been a game changer for me personally to be around people and communities and build the communities now where recreational positivity is a thing and you are welcome and encouraged to bring your celebrations. I found that first in the belief repatterning community, and gratitude is one of the key steps in belief repatterning. And you can bring celebrations and things you're grateful for to a conversation, and instead of people going like, well, like, you should watch out because it's going to bite you in the butt if you think about that positively, because people are afraid of that the magic will happen and take it away if you speak into it positively, which is the opposite of how it actually works, by the way. That was a inverse program to disempower us. People will celebrate with you, right? And we could go not just for 2 minutes. We could not just write a list, but I bet you any money, and I want to try this sometime, I could spend a literal entire hour talking about what I am grateful for, because there comes to be a point that you are able to alchemize things immediately because you've been practicing. Not only is your reticular activator looking for the things to be grateful for, but your body, mind, and soul just feels how freaking good it feels, that they just want to expand that. And when you play in that field, it's magnetic. So if you are grateful for everything, including the challenges, including the hard stuff, for the lessons that you're going to get for it, right? For the ninja skills that you're going to get through the training that you are receiving, even if it feels like a beating, then you will magnetize in more to be grateful for, and more to be grateful for, and more to be grateful for, until literally you exist in this field where there is nothing that you are not grateful for. It is a literal band of frequency that you can live inside, and it is so freaking beautiful.
Yeah, and that's where we're living. Erin had a question. How do you know that you're going through a dark night of the soul? And what I would say to that is, I didn't know at the time that I was going through a dark night of the soul. And reflecting back on it now, I can see that what was causing it is because I did not have the supportive beliefs or understanding or gratitude practices and like all the tools that I have now to help me be okay with knowing that, because knowing that things weren't working out the way I wanted to, that's not a bad thing. I did not understand that at the time. I had so many unsupportive beliefs of like things needed to happen exactly how I wanted them to, or else it was wrong, and I needed to change right now, and I couldn't wait. And I can't even think of it all, but basically I had a completely different operating system back then compared to what I do now. So I could go through the same challenges potentially now, and it wouldn't knock me down to that same way that it used to, because I have so many tools and support. But when I didn't, it was because, my old life was, I wanted something different, and my old life was not changing fast enough, and it wasn't happening what I wanted quick enough. But I feel like this is probably a different case for every single person, because not everybody has the exact same single journey that I do. But I feel like it's probably a lot to do with like the ego death and stepping into the unknown, trying something new on. And that's scary because we don't know. Humans want to know what's going to happen next. And switching from that like mind level and getting into the heart and learning how to trust, and all of that stuff has supported me so much to be where I am now and be able to live in that state of gratitude, where I am grateful that I didn't get to move to Victoria like I wanted to 10 years ago. And I am grateful that my husband had a 18-month mental breakdown where we didn't know what was going on. It took them so long when I had like an 18-month-old baby or like, well, I guess almost year-old to 18-month-old or two, I don't know, like a young child that I was taking care of. I'm grateful for that now, even though that was so hard at the time, but it taught me so much. And then as soon as that ended, a month after he got better, then I had a 2-year concussion, and I'm grateful for that too, because I wouldn't be sitting here without all of those things. And it wasn't easy to go through those things at the time. It was, fucking hard. um, but I'm grateful for it now because I needed to learn all of those things so that I could embody all of the things that I needed to learn so that I could actually be the person that I wanted to be 10 years ago or 11 years ago. But I needed to learn all those lessons. And so I got those downloads a long time ago that I was supposed to like do something different with my life. But there was so much shit to work through, to reprogram and everything. So the biggest thing, that message that's coming through right now is like, it's hard when you're going through it, and also learning to trust the process and like surrender into it is the most supportive thing that you can do. And just having those little gratitudes daily are so helpful to switch, going from that downward, everything's happening to me spiral to, the more we look for what we want. And so another thing that happened along my journey was understanding what my core desired feelings were. And for the record, they are thriving, flow, connection, and bliss. And at the time, I didn't think that what I wanted in life, I didn't think that I had those things. But then I started looking every day. How did thriving show up in my life today? How did I feel supported? How did I have bliss in my life today? And it wasn't those big things that like, I'm not going to a music festival every day or something, right? I still have to live a normal life, but the way the sun rose today or the light hit the trees and it was so gorgeous, that brings me bliss. And the more I recognize those tiny little moments, I'm like, my life is full of these things already. And then it creates that gratitude spiral, this upward spiral. And I can pulse. Oh, I'm getting so many tingles. I can feel your sparkle hands. And I'm like, I already am living all of that. And then it just keeps getting better and better and showing me more and more.
The sparkle fingers were because I was feeling the tingles as soon as she said that they were already there. That is the key, because when we're looking for something outside of ourselves, we're always going to be incomplete. So this is the key to how gratitude can raise your vibrational frequency. You're grateful for the things. Sure, you can be grateful for future things, but for what you have right now, and it brings you into that state, that sparkly feeling. Gratitude feels amazing, right? It feels in this now moment that you already have what you need, which means you're bringing it into the 0 point. And that is that cosmic space of pure potentiality. And so when you're in that place and you're in it with gratitude, then again, more to be grateful for starts to be magnetized to you. So just breathing all of that in. And I would love for you guys to feel some of this. So speaking into the comments, can you name a couple things that you are grateful for in this moment and feel into them right in this now, right? You can also practice things like what in the past happened to you that really freaking sucked. Like Nicole's concussion is the best example. And I was so honored to be able to witness and hold space for her during this time, because I was like, you're such a boss, because you can see that this is a gift. Right? And you are grateful for it, even though it really sucks. And she didn't bypass any of the suckiness, but she was looking for actively all of the pieces that were going to be supportive for her. And she was like, there are lessons in this for me. There are codes. I am receiving what I need through this experience. And her gratitude kept her from having that crash into another dark night of the soul, right? Gratitude is this lighter expression of frequency that can keep you, it's like a guiding light, right? So for me, a dark night of the soul, when I witness them, it's when someone cannot see the light. The dark night of the soul is when there is no guiding light. So life feels like it's happening to you and it's chaos, and there is no journey or path forward that you see. right? That is the dark night of the soul. It's being disconnected from your soul, from your highest self, from source, from your guides, from gratitude, from all of those higher frequencies. So it just feels like darkness is all around, and that's all there is, right? Although you can, of course, have moments where it feels better, but it's a feeling of being lost, right? And so when we have a guiding light or a lighter frequency that we can tap into, it can be an anchor point. And gratitude is one of those anchor points that can, like Nicole say, pull you up. It can lift you up to that next bandwidth where you go, you look around and then you're, oh, I can see more to be grateful for. And then you're in that space of openness, because the feelings of separation, of being lost, of being stuck, those are all contracting, and the energy goes in and down, and you're not looking up to where all of the collaborations, the connections, the unified, frequency field stuff where you have everything you need. You can't see that, you can't feel it. Gratitude is, I think, one of the easiest ways, but there are times in our life where what, you want me to be grateful? Because everything sucks. How can I be grateful? So what our dear friend Jason Estes says is, if you can't find anything else to be grateful for, be grateful that you're alive, because that offers you an opportunity. If you didn't have that life at all, then there would be zero opportunity for you in this time, in this body, to grow, to learn, to change, to do anything, right? So being grateful for your heart that is beating, right? Being able to breathe the air around you. When we're in that space of, man, there's nothing to be grateful for, everything can go and suck it, right? Like we get in those spaces sometimes. It's like, well, I'm grateful I'm not, currently in a room without oxygen, because that would suck more. So sometimes I have to take myself into a place of slight ridiculousness. And then the humor will be an algorithm interrupt, a pattern interrupt. And I'll go, oh, actually, it's probably more to be grateful for. Oh my God. Okay. Right. So I'd love to hear your tips and tricks, Nicole, for someone that's maybe feeling in that space of like, oh my gosh, look at the world. Like, how can we be grateful in this moment? Everything's falling apart.
I always say, come back to yourself and like, don't look at the outside then. Like, take that moment to come back into your own experience. And again, it's not bypassing, because I'm not saying do that forever. I'm saying in that moment when you're feeling that way, it's totally okay to come back into your center, to come back into your heart, because when you're able to be in that present state, which is really, I say, your connection to your own divinity, you will find something to be grateful for, because you're coming into that higher vibrational frequency. And yeah, so how do we do that? Sometimes it's like literally just being present with your experience. So often we're primed to want to change things. And if we are trying to change something, then we're also, again, coming at it like something's wrong, there's lack, I want to be different, I'm not appreciative of what I have right now. So just coming into your present moment experience will help you find that, what am I trying to say? Like, find that experience where you, it's like I'm trying to explain presence, what that feels like, but finding that experience where you can just be in the moment, grateful for the tingling of your cells, your heartbeat, and all of that stuff, shutting out everything else and coming into your center. And I feel like I'm not explaining this very well. I'm not finding the words, because it's like a feeling, and it's not a, well, there is a way to explain it, but they're not coming through. The words are not coming through for right now. But if you know what I feel like, maybe drop a heart, give a little like, and I'm sure that everyone has experienced that difference of coming into the present moment, feeling into their body in the now moment. And that's just such a grounding and centering practice. Yay. So I'm seeing some like, so you all know what I'm saying, even though the words are not coming through for me right now.
I have two things to say to that. One is, if anybody was a Trekkie like me, maybe you saw that Star Trek: The Next Generation movie where Captain Picard was having this moment in a cave with this woman, and slowed down into presence. And it was like the cave was crumbling in, and then all of a sudden everything slowed down, and they were just like locked in each other's eyes. And it was like there was a lot of sexual tension and chemistry, of course, too. So there was just like this presence that the moment grew and expanded into the all that is. Let me know if you've seen that movie and you know what I'm talking about. That was one of the greatest cinematic depictions of coming into presence that I have. And of course, this woman was from a society that they thought had no technology. And so they were like, the Federation was hiding their technology from them and pretending like they didn't have any. And they were like, a pre-warp civilization too. And they're like, no, we just don't use our technology because we're more interested in like spiritual matters. So we don't actually use it, but we know about everything that's out there, and what's in here is actually far more interesting to explore. So it was this mind melting moment for the Federation. But anyway, I digress. I loved Star Trek when I was younger. So people are like, seen that time slow down thing before. Yes, it's when the moment can stretch out into like infinity almost, and time is, you can really feel the flexibility of it because you're coming into 0 point. So I think everybody knew what you were saying. But what I have to say that always comes to me when people are going like, oh, there's nothing good happening at all. Oh my God, look at the world. It's all crumbling down. Oh my gosh, spiral. You got to listen to Mr. Rogers and look for the helpers, right? Whenever there is something awful that is happening, people as a whole will scramble and go, how can we help? Right? So that is the counterpoint to me, is you can look for the people, the opportunities that are responding to whatever is happening. And you could choose to focus on what's happening, or you could choose to focus on all of the good people that just want to be there for other people and make it a better world. And as soon as I'm even like feeling like I am tearing up when I'm thinking into that, because when you focus on that, then you notice more of it, and then there's more of it, and then your perception of the world is not that it is falling apart, but that there are so many millions upon millions of people with such good hearts who are actively every day working to make this place better. Right? Can you feel that? Can you feel all these people, like everyone that's watching, and all of the amazing souls that are doing their damnedest every day to show up when they're able to? And they are making a difference. Like the world is an amazing place when you know where to look. I'm so grateful for that.
Me too. And what you're speaking into and looking for that higher vibration, those higher vibrational frequencies, also can just naturally kind of alchemize the lower density stuff. And that is such a beautiful gift of being in that higher vibrational state, because then it gives you the gift of being able to see the bigger picture of things. Often when we're spiraling, it's because we're in our running a trauma response perhaps, and in our minds, and not connected fully into the actual present moment and that 0 point and that infinite all that there is. And I guess that's just the pattern, the interrupt that we need. And then having that higher perspective can help you look and see, yes, all this stuff looks like it's falling apart, and I can be grateful because there's all these helpers in the world. And I can be grateful because I know that just by me being me and taking this time to go in and raise my vibration is actually affecting the collective as well. So sometimes we don't even need to like be on a mission to be out there and doing stuff in the world, but just how our beingness is also ripples out into the collective and will shift things as well. Like we're all so freaking powerful. It's incredible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, we are. We are so powerful. So tapping into gratitude, and then the level that I feel I is kind of almost beyond that, which is celebration, is the most powerful thing that we can do when we are either wanting to manifest and create in something that is very specific, or when we are just wanting to shift that frequency up and out of stuckness and scarcity and separation into more of that unified consciousness that feels like we have the solutions available to us, and it's only a matter of time. We just have to continue walking this path together, and there they are. Gratitude and celebration are the place that will take you there. So when we're saying that it is a manifestation or creation magical tool, we mean it on all levels and layers. So you can do it in that general sense to shift your frequency up, but you can also practice it for things that you are specifically wanting to create in your life. So there is this paradoxical consciousness thing that happens with like pretty much every spiritual principle, where you get to be so freaking grateful for what you have already, but then you can also peek into that future timeline and be so grateful that it is a possibility. And then you just bring that into your now, right? I'm so grateful that this is where I'm headed. I'm so grateful that this is where the planet is headed, or my business, or my relationship. And what you do is through that frequency is bring it into your body and have it in this now, which is why it's a really powerful practice, right? To be grateful for what you have right now, and then tie it to the future thing, and then bring them, merge them, meld them into the present moment, 0 point, expand it into your being. So you're embodying it, you are being it, you are resonating each one of your cells at that frequency. And then you let it go, right? You don't have to hold it all day, but the more often you do that and you bring yourself into that space, the more quickly you are able to shift the energy around and move towards what it is that you are wanting to create, while at the same time being in the divine perfection of already having what it is that you desire. So it's already there and all of the lack is gone. That is the key. When you are in gratitude, there is no longer any lack, right? You're already in that frequency and field. So the lack of something and the focusing on lack is what like slows down your ability to create and manifest it. So focusing on what you already have is one of the trickiest things to get at first, but once you do, it's like a slip and slide with oil on it. You'll travel so much faster.
Yes, absolutely. So this is actually just making me think, because my birthday's coming up soon, and yesterday I decided to look at my journal from last year, because I remember that I wrote so I'm 37, turning 38 next week, and I wrote 37 will be the year that I relax, I trust, I surrender, and experience the freedom I've always desired. It's time to see what happens when I live in alignment. And the things I wrote that I wanted are successful business, helping people, supporting my family, healthy body, healthy brain, luminous, radiant soul, healthy mind, thriving relationships and meaningful conversations, human being first, then doing, freedom of authenticity, freedom to be me in all my glory. And when I read this, I was like, oh my God, I did all these things. Because when I wrote that, I was in the vibrational frequency that was a match to that. Some of those things did not feel attainable when I wrote that, but I was in that state where I could feel the possibility of it being true. And I don't think that I held the hope that my concussion would be better by this time. And I also don't know if I truly fully believed that it could be, but I wasn't if I didn't believe that I could get better, then I never would. So it's just so incredible to bring that into the practice. And I do that all the time. If you're going to write and journal and go into ceremony on a new moon and call in what you want for whatever next time period in your life, always make sure that you're in that state of gratitude and abundance and alignment first, because that is where you can bring all of those magic things in. And I'm so excited for what 38 is going to bring for me, because 37 was so freaking amazing.
That's awesome. What a fun practice. I actually don't have a practice like that on my birthday, but can you remind me to do that in December? Okay, amazing. So I know 38 was a magical year for me, even though it was the year, year two of the global pandemic, basically, and felt like there was so much that couldn't happen in the external. But for me internally, it was a year where I felt more free and connected than I think I ever have before. So it really can be an experience that is internal without needing the outside world to change, which is really cool. But when you are the change, as we talked about, all of the time in the summit, then it ripples out and then the outer world changes as well. But that's sort of like the afterthought or the after effect of you changing and shifting your perspective internally. So that is where the magic sits. So you're getting lots of happy early birthday. Yeah, we're gonna celebrate your birthday's next Monday. I can't wait to go for a forest walk and frolic with you on Sunday. She's gonna show me and a few of our girlfriends all of her favorite spots because she is always like dancing and frolicking in the forest by her house. So cannot wait for that. There's so much more that we could say about gratitude, but basically, I just want to take a moment to be super grateful for every one of you that are watching because you're the conscious creators, right? You are those people who are being the change. You are changing the world simply by focusing on your own frequency, doing your healing work, doing the alchemizing, and doing the right thing. Right? If you're watching this, I know you are someone who does the right thing. And if you accidentally don't, or you step out of integrity for a moment, you're going to notice that and you're going to do what you can to shift it, right? It doesn't mean you have to be perfect with everything that you do. God, I make mistakes all the time, but you're doing the work. So I'm so thankful and so grateful to you right now. We have a couple announcements as well, and then we'll sum up with a few more words about gratitude. So number one, if you're watching this from our free group, that is currently called the Free Soul Embodiment Summit, the reason it's still called that, even though our summit ended 2 weeks ago, is you can only change the group name every 30 days. So we have to wait till today to shift it. So that it's going to be called the Radiant Evolution Collective with Nicole, and myself. So if you see that in your newsfeed, you'll know that is the same place that the Soul Embodiment Summit happened, right? If you're not already inside that group, why not? joyevolution.group will take you there. Speaking of gratitude, I am super, super grateful to be able to share conversations that are educational and illuminating because it's kind of my favorite thing to do. I didn't write that down last year, but it's still one of my faves. And on Saturday, I actually shared a masterclass for people that are soulpreneurs that are wanting to grow or expand a spiritual-based business as a healer, coach, leader, facilitator, retreat host, everything like that. If you're someone that did not make it live because it was a holiday, it was a weekend, I was just guided to do it then. I had so much fun that I'm doing it again on Wednesday at 3:00 inside the Radiant Evolution Collective or on Zoom. So I'm going to leave the place to register there in the notes here because I want to speak into the 5 elemental forces of creation that you need to be working with. You don't need to, but if you're not working with them consciously in your business, you are missing out because they will help you be balanced and harmonious in all aspects. And with working with all the realms consciously, you can make sure that you're not dropping the ball in one area or another. And they have helped me over the last decade create so much magic in my life. So I'm going to be sharing those tips and tricks in that free masterclass on Wednesday at 3. Yeah. So those are the 2 announcements that I had. For anyone that is feeling some FOMO about maybe not having joined us in the playground when that doors opened and then closed, for that, we're going to be having something special mid-November for you. So just planting the seeds, letting that percolate because we're having so much fun in there this week. And we've got our ceremony to deepen our self-trust tomorrow. And my first coaching call that was a little bit more general, like open, like ask me anything about self-trust specifically that time, went amazing. It was magical. And, working with me one-on-one is a bigger investment. So to be able to do that for the $33 a month that you can in the playground membership is kind of an awesome deal. Yeah. What else is going on, Nicole?
I just want to say your coaching call was amazing, and like wherever you are on your journey, it's helpful. I think it was helpful for everybody there, and we're all, working on different things, but yeah, it was super awesome because I love how you bring in that belief repatterning and, just your coaching and intuitive wisdom and all your years and years of experience and all of that stuff. And of course, the elements, and it was great. So I'm also super excited for the ceremony tomorrow. We're going to get the chance to really claim our own magic and claim our power and own it and embody it. So we're going to give it back to ourselves. I'm super excited for that. And yeah, if you're not in the playground now and you decide you want to join us later when it opens up again, you can always catch that on the replay because our library is freaking amazing. We've been doing the playground for almost a year now, so it's so full of like amazing tools for support. And I know we've got a few playground members watching here today, so hopefully you are all enjoying it too. Super excited for that. And I just wanted to read what Tiffany said. The coaching call changed my life. She brought magic to places I've had never felt it from another human being. The trust she activated me to was deepening the trust in myself, and I don't even know if she impacted me that way from that call. Wow. Amazing.
Thanks for saying that and letting me know, because sometimes I don't get a ton of feedback about what we do. People like, cool, thanks. Right. So hearing how deeply it impacted you, that's beautiful. I'm so grateful. And it really makes me feel excited to do the next one and honored that I have said yes to every training opportunity that's come up to me, every opportunity for growth and expansion and learning and developing my skill set, so I can do that, so I can share the things, because it's a blend of everything that I have ever studied, my probably over $100,000 of education in my degree, as well as all of the personal development and business development and spiritual development stuff I've done over the last 2 decades, in addition to me learning how to channel my own highest self and share that wisdom. So those are the things that I love sharing, is not only like literal action steps that you can take, but also how you can deepen your own trust so you can channel through the information that's for you that you need, but then also be able to share it for others, which is the next level. And it's so much fun.
Yeah, that is the key, because we don't need to keep looking outside. We need help. We need people to show us that there's an option, there's different ways to do things, how to do it. But essentially, I think the mark of a good teacher or mentor is somebody that shows you that you can do it yourself, and that to believe in yourself to do it, to have that level of self-trust. So that's why, like, it's the 11th of October. We've had one event already this month only, was your coaching call, and already my activations for self-trust have been increasing. So that's why I love also, like, I am a co-founder and co-creator in the playground, and I also receive all the codes that all of our members do too, so it's awesome.
Yeah, I do too, which is the best part too. It's co-creative. Like, we receive from each other, and the community aspect is so important. So every time we've got new members to our community, new codes come in, there's new exchanges of information, and it levels all of us up. And that's my favorite thing. This is the new paradigm way of learning. And that happens with our free group here, the Radiant Evolution Collective as well. Every time we're together, whether it be in the summit or on masterclasses, lives, in these posts, the codes are rippling out for each other. And so if you're ever thinking that what you're doing isn't enough, right, that you need to be doing more, remember what Nicole was saying. Just you being you and anchoring that in is enough. It is making a difference. And I can feel that energetically every time somebody shares something. It's so beautiful. This is the new paradigm of unified field consciousness as opposed to separation, scarcity, competition, right? It's the one where we get to rise together and learn from each other, celebrate each other's differences, and not necessarily always agree. That's not what unity consciousness is about. It's just about understanding that we are all connected and that what we each do affects the other person. And when you are conscious of that, then you can work it and have a lot of fun with it. Beautiful people, this has been so divine. We cannot wait to connect with you again. Are we going to be showing up on your birthday? Do you need a break, or do you want to have a celebration on your birthday?
Yeah, you know what? I'm kind of feeling like I do because I love doing this so much, and it's feels like a great way to do something awesome and fun and different on my birthday and have a little party. So maybe you're all invited to my Zoom birthday party on Facebook next week.
Yes, let's do it. Okay, time TBA. We'll see what will work the best for you, birthday girl. But we will definitely celebrate together. And you're just getting so much love, so much love. So we will connect with all of you guys next week. Until then, you can join me in the free masterclass. And if you're not a soulpreneur or wanting to become one, then I had a couple of people say, you know what, everything actually was really applicable to life. Like, you brought it into the business field, but it's wisdom for life. And that's what the elemental forces of creation do. They're amazing life companions. So if it's calling you, come anyway.
She has so many codes, so like literally I try to show up to everything she does. She's helped me so much. Yeah. So
well, thanks. We are going to be seeing you soon. We will send you so much love just here and now. From our hearts to yours, so grateful for your existence on the planet. I love you so much. Have a beautiful rest of your day.